everybody. Hi, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. Hey, speaking of my blog, did you see I was on the Moda Bake Shop? Remember a couple of months ago, it was September. Hold on, I'll get the block. So last September, Moda Bake Shop had an all-call for blocks for their Countdown to 2020 Christmas quilt. And I submitted a Christmas gift block, really simple. Oh, if you hear a tractor going, that's my husband out there in his overalls playing Farmer John. He needs fuel, so he's going to slow down here in a minute. But anyway, so I submitted this block, and it's very, very simple. It's a Christmas gift block. But you know what, guys? I did a foul. I misread the directions, and I said I made the block finish cut to 12, which would have finished at 11 and a half, instead of cutting it to 12 and a half and having it finished to 12. So about halfway through the day yesterday, I got an email from the lady at Moda, and she says, I think there's a problem with your block. I was like, oh no. Y'all, I was mortified. You know, I never, ever, ever make mistakes. How could that happen? Oh my gosh. I felt so bad. It consumed the rest of my day. I kept doing math, you know, and I was at work and I couldn't concentrate because I'm like, what did I do wrong on that block? So I came home and redid it. I did a mock-up block, and then I remade the block and I reshot the blog. So if you follow my blog and you got 2 posts, that's why. If you look in there, the measurements are different. But there's a couple of comments under there from some quilters who said, no, this isn't right. I felt so bad. I was so embarrassed. Oh, God. You know, and I emailed her and I said, oh, I am just grievous mistake, you know. And I apologized profusely, and she was really sweet about it. She's like, hey, we all make mistakes, and I figured that was the problem, and blah, blah. So I told her, I hope I'm not blacklisted. She said, no, you're fine. I was like, oh, jeez. I just got some stuff I was going to talk to you guys about. There was a daily deal, I think. I'm not sure how all this worked out, but they had this magnificent blooms from Missouri Star. And beautiful. I love lime green, and I love it with black. And this is just super pretty. And so I got it. I love the florals in it. I also picked up some extra yardage to put in the outer border. I always do that. If I get a layer cake, I know I'm going to make probably at least a lap size quilt. I will definitely get extra yardage for the outer border. The inner border, you know, I'll go to my local quilt store and grab something that works. You know, Missouri Star does go ahead and make suggestions, but I didn't do that for whatever reason. And because I got that was before Thanksgiving. I can't remember what kind of deal that was. They threw in this table runner pattern, flickering starlight reversible table runner. That was a freebie because I spent a certain amount of money. And then 2 yards of kind of black. And I can't remember if this is a separate daily deal or if this was thrown in because I bought this stuff. I don't know. Maybe I shop too much. That's funny. Who shops too much? Not me. So let's see. I told you about that. I told you about the bake shop fail. Before Thanksgiving, I think it was the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, my deputy director, I work for the Air Force. I'm a civilian and I work for the Air Force, and the deputy director of my entire unit comes wandering in, and you know, you stand up, hello sir, how you doing, blah, blah. He's a lieutenant colonel, very, very nice man. And he says to me, you got a minute? And I'm like, oh no, what'd I do? What now? I said, for you? Sure, of course, have a seat, you know. So he sits down and he says, you know, I really, really loved the quilt that you made for Dave when he retired. And I'm in my head, I'm like, Oh no, here it comes. Y'all, I hate making quilts for other people unless I want to make them for that person, and then I give myself plenty of time and I think about the pattern and, I don't like making commissioned quilts. It's not my idea of a good time. But he's my deputy director. And he said, the director's secretary is retiring after 180 years of federal service, however long she's been in. It's been forever, y'all. And I said, there's no way I can make a quilt like Dave's. There's just no way, because his took weeks to piece together. It was called, I don't remember the name of the pattern, but it had big starbursts. And it was just a million squares and half square triangles and all kinds of stuff. I said, there's just no way. And he's like, isn't there something you can do? This is one of those situations where, my livelihood at my work does not depend on it, but y'all know there's a political bent to something like this. If the president of the company comes to you and says, would you do me this favor? It would mean a lot to me. What do you say? Oh, and he wants it. Her ceremony's on the 19th of December. Really? Like 3 weeks. So, I showed him, I got this brilliant, I showed him remember I went to Ganado a couple weeks ago, and it was not when I was on, Lisa and I had gone for Long Arm Club, and I saw this quilt top, and I got it. Now, this is a panel. This is the Amazing Grace panel by Moda. It is just awesome. This lady, when she retires, is going to be a pastor full-time for her church. And he saw it, and I saw it, and he said, I think it's perfect. So the day before Thanksgiving, which is a dead day in the office, in the Department of Defense, nobody's doing anything back here stateside. So I took my machine to work. I put a picture of that on Instagram. And, all I had to do was put the borders on it. Not a big deal. I got it done in a couple of hours. The only thing that's an issue is my long arm. Now, I got my long arm, the frame, is put together. I got the new Phoenix frame, and I've got the machine on it. And the only thing that's missing, though, is the idler bracket for the Y-axis belt. And for you people that don't do long arm talk, that's for the robot. I have a Quilt Butler robot on my machine, and the X-axis belt runs the length of the frame, so with the encoders, so the robot knows where it is. And then the Y-axis belt is the short belt that makes the machine go back and forth. Well, I don't have the bracket for the Y-axis belt for this particular frame. And it wasn't supposed to come with the frame. I ordered it from Quilt Easy, the maker of the Butler. They're the ones who make all the brackets that go with that. So I had that big box of parts that they had sent me for the Bernina frame. I just sent all those back, and they're going to send me the Y-axis. I have the belt, I have everything, but I need the idler bracket is what it's called. And that's the little wheel in the back that mounts on the upper carriage that makes it roll back and forth. Those of you who do this, you know what I'm talking about. So yesterday, my supervisor comes to me and he says, hey, I know you didn't want to do that, so why don't you take tomorrow off and finish that quilt? What? Really? I didn't even ask for that, y'all. I'm like, okay, I'm not looking a gift day off in the mouth. Are you kidding me? So I did telework. I brought my laptop home and I hit email all throughout the day. But I didn't have leaders on. So today I put the leaders on the machine, on the frame, and I had to sew the casing on them because I use red snappers. And the red snappers are those red poles that go through the bottom of the leaders, and then you use the clamps to put it. Oh, it's fabulous. I'll do that any day over pinning. And so I got all 3 of those done. Oh, and I used the luminaire to sew it. It was awesome. Nice and quiet, very neat. And I really like the illuminated laser line to show me where I'm stitching. It's much easier to see. Did I need it? No, but it's much easier to see. So that was a lot of fun to turn that on. And oh, those of you, one of you told me in a comment, or was it an email? Y'all are brilliant. For those of you who use Embrilliance, there is a feature in Embrilliance where I think it's under Tools, and it says Send to XP1 Solaris. So if you're working on an embroidery design in Embrilliance and you've got your luminaire hooked up to the XP1 is the luminaire. If you've got your luminaire hooked up to your Wi-Fi, how is this? You can just go send, it's done. No more USB from your laptop to your machine. How awesome is that? You guys are right. I think I'm going to love this thing. So, okay. So the other thing I want to talk to you guys about. Oh, I got the backing for that Amazing Grace quilt. I picked this up. I went yesterday to my quilt store and I picked this up. This is a standard grunge. This is by Basic Gray Grunge. Yes, and it's the Seeing Stars and by Moda. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. They were having a 31% off sale for Cyber Monday. So I got a couple of these. I got 4.5 yards of fabric, and I got 2 fabric writing pens. So I'll need those. Oh, he wants people to come and sign the back of her quilt. Everybody I have told that to has been like, but these are individual things, and there are also those people who get quilt blocks and people sign them at their weddings, and then they get a wedding quilt put together, from everybody who was there, and they love them, and so it'll be on the back. It'll be fine. But so I've had some questions. Remember, I had talked to you guys. We're going to do a quilt along with the Howl-lelujah quilt, right? So, number 1, no, you do not have to have a luminaire in order to be able to sew this. Of course, you can use any embroidery machine that you want. The only limitation is going to be the main body of the dog requires a hoop that is larger than 14.5 or 14, whatever the largest hoop size is. That's why I needed to use the luminaire. What you will have to do on your background fabric is you will have to go ahead and put it on the old-fashioned way, okay? Do you need a scan and cut? No, you do not. You can do it the old-fashioned way. You can certainly trace out these pieces using a light box or a window, okay, with sunlight, a sunny window. Trace the pieces out and stitch them down. You can just, go along with this. My whole thing is to be able to use technology to make this much easier on me, and then bring you guys along. So I'm going to be doing all of mine on the scan and cut. My only thing is that main body of the dog, I don't know if there is a scan and cut 24-inch scanning mat. I have the 24-inch cutting mat. So cutting the body of the dog's not going to be a problem. Scanning the body of the dog in, because I don't have the 24-inch scanning mat if they make one, okay? I'm not sure if they do. I don't know if I've ever seen one. So one of the other beautiful features of the luminaire is it will scan for you. So it has that scanning feature. I can cut that pattern piece out for the main body of the dog and put it into their scanning hoop and run it through there. So pretty neat stuff. Haven't figured out how to do that yet, but I saw Terry Maffitt do it in one of her videos. She took a book She just laid the book open in this mat, and it's a hoop kind of thing. It's got little green magnets that you hold stuff down. Anyway, and it'll scan it all. So from there, then I'm going to use the luminaire to turn that into an applique design. So just for that particular body piece. The rest of it, I'm going to use Simply Applique because so many of you have purchased Simply Applique because you see me use it and you think it's really cool and you want to play with it. And if you want to follow along, I think you'll really have a good time with this. I could probably do the entire applique part using the luminaire, but I'm going to use the scan and cut to cut the pieces out, and I'm going to use the Simply Applique in my laptop to turn those designs into an applique. So this is probably going to be a good 5-6 video series. Okay, it's going to be a whole bunch of them. And when we do those video series, those videos, I'm only going to talk about what we're doing in that video for the quilt along. Okay, I'm not going to do any chit chat or show you what I bought. You're not going to miss a thing. If you're not doing it and you don't want to watch, then you're not going to miss anything of, you know, the day-to-day minutia that happens in my life. But also, some of you want to go ahead and buy the whole kit. I think the kit's $48.95 or something, and it comes with pre-cut pieces. And if you want to, I think, if you want to buy that, go ahead. You know, that'll be fine. And I think it comes with iron-on the back already. You can just peel them off, stick them where they need to go, iron them on, and then you'll sew them down. Also, if you buy the pre-cut pieces, you can scan those in a scanning mat on the scan and cut and put those in and then run it to Simply Applique, okay? So there's a whole bunch of different ways to be able to do this. I'll try to touch on each one and I will try to answer your questions as best I can. But, you know, if you want to just get this pattern, it's $10.95 and you at urbanelements.com, and you have lots of scraps that you can make this with, and you don't have to go shopping from anything. You can do your shopping in your stash. That's great. And, you know, you can follow right along with us. You just have to do it the old-fashioned way if you don't have Simply Applique or you don't have a scan and cut. It just makes life a lot easier. So I will let you know as soon as I did practice on my long arm today. I did. And it's really, really bad. Let me show you. I have cheater cloth. And cheater cloth has the blue lines on it. Cheater cloth has blue lines on it. So I tried to follow those a little bit, and it's really bad. And then I have this pantograph back here. See that? It's all kind of jacked up. And I tried to follow that, and that's just as bad. And then I just started to doodle. And this is why I use the Quilt Butler robot. You know, everybody says, well, just doodle and practice and da-da-da. No, y'all, it doesn't work like that for me. I'm awful at it. I have practiced for probably, I don't know, days before I got the robot, and weeks. It doesn't get any better for me, so that's why I bought the robot. So I definitely need the idler bracket to get here ASAP so I can put it on the frame, get everything working, and get this thing stitched in so it looks halfway decent. So I hope I get it done in time. And I will probably take another day off. Once the idler bracket comes in and I get it all fixed, I'm going to tell the boss, okay, now I can go ahead and go home and get that done. So, or I could do it. We're going to stay home. No boat parade this weekend. We decided to stay home. I've got too much going on, and my husband's got some more work to do in that yard. So, all right, you guys, that's it. I will talk to you later. I hope you have a great evening. Go sew something. Bye.